The role that we play changes over time.
We can supplement what the students, what the children are learning in school. We can take them a step further.
And the fact that you get a student when the light bulb goes off, it's really rewarding.
I think we have a special way of taking programs out and teaching children.
The programs that we do, while it is learning, the kids don't even necessarily will realize that we're doing something that's educational.
I think it's very fun. I have a lot of fun with it.
It's fun to see that they're having fun.
Well, I work with Bruce and with Chris, but one of the nice things about working with them is we collaborate a lot.
The dynamic is pretty strong. It's pretty awesome.
There's a whole lot of back and forth and a whole lot of sharing.
I've got this idea, what do you think about that? What can we do to improve it? So there's a lot of collaboration that goes on between the three of us. There's hours and hours and hours before you get out there to actually teach a lesson.
Even though they're original or created by one person, we all usually end up contributing in some way. Whatever lessons we do, they've got to be able to see it. They've got to be able to hear it.
The students will put them on the floor. They'll walk on them to reinforce the skip count physically with their feet, with their bodies. And it really doesn't slide. It's really very effective.
This is a great kindergarten readiness activity.
And you've got to go ahead and come up with a concept. You've got to develop that concept. You've got to go ahead and get all the supplies that you need. Then go ahead and get the kit together. Then go ahead and practice it.
No one person can do all of those things. You're going to have to spend time kicking these ideas back and forth.
We've spent hours and hours and hours developing, from the conception to when we actually teach it.
It has to be affordable. It has to be interesting. It has to involve the students. The students have to be active. The students have to be getting busy with their hands, manipulating things so that they can understand the concept. Ideally, it doesn't use up too many materials that are hard to replenish. If it's not interesting, students aren't going to want to do it. If it doesn't fit the curriculum, teachers aren't going to want it. If it's too expensive, obviously we can't afford it. The instruction sheet or the lab sheet, enormous amount of preparation goes into the sheet itself.
From there, we begin to work on it, come up with other parts of the lesson, and decide if it's an elementary school program that we'd be working with that age group, or if it's an after-school program, or even a summer program.
Lots of the programs that we do are for totally different age ranges. For every age, there's really a totally different set of criteria that you need to consider and take into account and plan for.
The new pre-K program, for example, that we're taking out right now, we decided on what 5 lessons that we wanted to take out and pilot, and then started from scratch with a brand new lesson plan.
Each one of us took a lesson, and then we kind of got that in a rough format, and then we went ahead and started working together.
The idea just grew, the lesson grew. Then we decided what kind of supplies do we need to make this activity actually happen.
In your shirt, come on up here.
Working with pre-K is interesting because you think, oh, well, they're just little kids. It's so easy. I could just throw anything out there and I can teach that. No, there's a whole different kind of preparation you have to go through. They don't have the ability to write and read, so I can't have anything written down. I can't have instructions for them to follow. It has to be visual. It has to be colorful. You've got to think about it all beforehand and put yourself in that place.
That age group, I was at Corning Children's Center, and I actually went in there and worked with the kids, and it was a lot of fun.
Let's do a pattern with boys and girls.
Well, the younger kids, you have to do it in little snippets, and I have to direct them a little more.
What comes next? Girl! A girl!
And after a while, it begins to click with some of those students.
Very good, I'm proud of you.
Sometimes I've even joked with Bruce, okay, it's showtime.
That's actually a huge element of any teacher's job, I think, anyway, but especially if you're going to do a science show or something like a mobile lab, it is a performance.
Children have to be entertained. The students have to be entertained.
You can't just stand up at the front of the auditorium and just talk and say, here's this and look at this. You have to think of science show elements that will appeal to an audience. You've done all the preparation, you've done everything that you need to do. Now in fact, is the time to have the fun.
But now that's what I sound like when I have a lot of helium in my voice here.
Then the fun part is gone in a flash. Do you think we ought to meet again someday and do another science show someday? I do a lot of different things for Science and Discovery Center.
It isn't really a typical day.
There's not really a typical day for me because I wear many hats.
Really varies sometimes from day to day.
Bang, 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 turn it around almost every day to something different, and sometimes within the same day.
Someone's usually out teaching a program, or I'm out setting up programs. Bruce may be off on the lab.
If we're doing our mobile lab, then all the materials have to be gathered up and brought to the lab and set up. If it's, say, a science show, you got to pack it all into the truck, get out to the location.
There may be an after-school program. We're also out shopping for supplies.
1 minute you're in the science lab doing a program about electric circuits. Okay, turn around. Now we have a science show about toys, possibly even in the same day.
Never a dull moment. Never.
I would like everybody to pick up a nice little screwdriver and start taking apart. Let's go! As soon as school is done, say in June, we're getting ready for science camp.
And then I start planning that summer academy out day by day.
And we're gonna have space camp where they're gonna make models of constellations,
The outdoor biology program at Spencer Crest Nature Center.
or they're making inventions and taking everything apart and imagining some new gadget that ideally didn't exist before.
We know what they're getting during the school year in the curriculum and what kind of restrictions they have on their time in the classroom. So this is a free time when we can expand on what they're already learning, give them experiences that they wouldn't get in the classroom. So to be able to have that freedom and not be restrained by curriculum is awesome, and the students just love it.
We feel that schools want and value us and our programs because they keep coming back to us.
We have a lot of positive feedback from teachers. We're familiar with the curriculum, we're familiar with what they're doing in the classroom at all the grade levels, and we're familiar with the FOSS modules that all the local districts are using, and we take that a step further.
As their curriculum changes, our role changes, and we try to evolve with that. In the past year or so, we've been aligning our programs with Common Core.
Science and the STEM skills that we bring out and teach these children are so important to them when they get to be in college, when they get to be adults, when they go out into the workforce. We have an influence on those decisions. They can remember what we talked about, what they learned, what they did, the experience that they had. They walk away with a love for science.
I bump into students all the time. And they'll go, hey, you're the science guy. And they'll come back and actually, most of the time, come back with what it was that I taught them. And that's really rewarding. It makes you just smile on the inside and on the outside, too, because it makes you realize that what you're doing is having an impact.
My hopes and dreams for this center are that it continues to grow. What we do is so important.
It's always changing, and hopefully we'll just be able to evolve with the needs of the local schools and the districts.
I think the value of what we do and what we take out to the students and to the children is priceless.